Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go over CSG. Are they going to change that label? I had an opportunity to talk to one of the marketing reps at the Culture Collision trade show in Atlanta, and I wanted to get into some of the things that he talked about, which I thought were pretty interesting. Good afternoon and happy Saturday. I'm just watching some basketball. Sacramento Kings against the Dallas Mavericks. I'm a huge NBA fan, and I became more of an NBA fan as I got into sports cards, as I got into flipping sports cards or collecting, investing, whatever you want to call it. So I do watch a lot of basketball. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in previous videos. I probably have, but I pretty much try to watch any game that is on, especially while I'm working. I just kind of have it on in the background. So I really try to watch whatever I can. Just enjoy the game, but also look to see if there's any undervalued players. So that's kind of my hidden agenda when I'm watching these games. And so what I want to do is start off the video by presenting two players, their statistics so far this year, and asking the question, which of these two, if either of them, would you invest in? And so you could see here on the screen, there's player A, and you could see the stats for player A and then player B. Very similar stats. And I will say that I personally like both of these players. I actually am buying cards for both of these players that just want to see if you guys could tell who these guys are. And I'll let you take a look at this for a minute. And you can see here, player A is DeJounte Murray from the Spurs, who's having a really nice year. I was actually kind of surprised at these stats. I knew he was having a good year, but I think his stats have actually even gotten better as the year has gone on. And player B is LaMelo Ball, who has a lot more, I would say he has a lot more star power at this point. I don't know if people would agree with me or not, but he's also putting up some very nice stats, only his second year in the league. So just thought that would be a fun little thing to do, to look at these stats. I saw this on ESPN when I looked at the games today, and I said, oh, wow, their stats are pretty similar. And these are two players that I really like and that I like looking for their cards and buying their cards, whatever I can find at a reasonable price. Anyway, let's get into CSG. I did have the opportunity to talk to a marketing rep. So CSG had a booth set up at the Culture Collision, and they were there, I guess, to answer questions about their grading service. And it was obviously focused on sports card, Pokemon, just the card division, not the comic division. So that's what they were there for. I didn't really see too many people actually submitting cards for grading. I don't even know if they had that option there, but I basically wanted to find out, are they planning to change the label? And the answer was yes. So this rep told me that CSG has actually been meeting. They've had several focus groups that have been meeting throughout the year, I'm assuming throughout last year, in order to come up with a label that they think is going to work for everyone. So this has been on their agenda for a while. So they have heard the feedback. I wasn't sure how loud the feedback was. I know for me personally, I really don't like their label at all. And that's probably the main reason that I didn't think to grade with them. And then when I saw their resale value, that was a kind of a no-brainer for me. I was like, well, I'm not really going to grade with CSG because I don't like the look of their label. So I'm stuck with the card and I can't sell it. Now I'm stuck with an ugly label and I can't even move the card. So that kind of made that decision easy for me, but I was just curious to see what he said about this. And so it sounds like they have already been on this. They've had these focus groups meeting, and they're all going to get together, sometime soon, according to him. He didn't say, if they're going to change their label next month or in 6 months, but it sounds like it's coming pretty soon. It sounds like they've heard the feedback and they are working on this. And so then I followed up with a question. I said, so if you're going to change the label, is it going to be like an HGA type thing where maybe there's a custom label or there's some options for different types of labels like team match or whatever you want to do? And he's like, no, it's just going to be one label for all the cards. And that could be good, that could be bad. It depends on what they come up with the label, but it sounds like they're really making sure that they get this right. Now, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean I'm going to potentially grade with CSG? And the answer to that is yes. And I'll get into that in a minute, but I just like the idea that their label is going to change because I honestly think that is really the only shortcoming that they have. They have a very nice case that they use. It's very clear, it's sturdy. When you look at the case, when you feel it, when you hold it, it's super nice. They're also the authenticator for eBay. So they have a presence. Obviously, for comic books, they are, they have a solid reputation there. And so that's what I like. I like that they're a solid company that doesn't seem like they're really going anywhere anytime soon. And that's part of why I would consider grading with them. I want to know in 5 years, are their labels going to be relevant? And I think that when they make this change, I really think that's going to change the game for them. Currently, they said they grade about 28,000 cards per week, which when I first heard that number, I was like, that seems like a lot, but then I thought about, wait, PSA grades 40,000 cards per day, so maybe it's not that many, but in any case, that's a decent amount of cards. I also asked them, so when they do have this label change, what about the old labels? And so basically what they told me is that they're just gonna have to send them in to relabel, so that's gonna be an extra cost. And that's just what people are going to have to deal with. Now, for me, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm just going to hold off until they get the new label before I start grading with them. That's still my plan. But the main thing that I like about CSG, besides everything I just told you, is the price. And I brought that up and I said, well, what about, what kind of pricing is there going to be? And he said, well, we have $12 bulk pricing right now. And I did kind of know that, but I just wasn't fully aware that their bulk pricing is $12 per card. To me, at least for now, that is also huge because I have a bunch of cards here that I've looked over and I believe that they're PSA 10s, but they're not worth grading with PSA, not at $50 per card, maybe not even at $30 per card. I could show you some of the cards here. I have like this, just a Shohei Ohtani Bowman base. Jordan Love, I don't know if this will ever be worth anything, but it's his hollow. If he starts in the NFL, it'll be worth grading with PSA. But if he doesn't, then, I probably wouldn't grade it with anyone. But even a card like, say, a Buster Posey Topps rookie, a PSA 10 is over $200. So it's potentially worth grading at 50, but it just makes it a difficult decision. And so I have a lot of cards kind of on that where I'm on the fence. I know for sure I don't want to grade them at 50 per card. If PSA drops their price, maybe not. But at $12 per card for a relevant grading company, that becomes much more interesting to me. So that's one of the things that really got me thinking. Once they make this label change, if it's a hit, if it really pans out, and it sounds like they're really making the effort to make sure that this is gonna be the winner with the hobby, with the public opinion. So I'm really hoping that it does work out for them because otherwise they're a solid company. They have a nice label. One of the other things he talked about is that their grading is tough. And again, I wasn't really aware of this because I never grade with them. So I think a lot of people were sending cards that maybe they thought were PSA 10s and maybe they would get CSG 9s. So I think they're a little bit tough on the grading. And so he said they're aware of that as well. I don't know if that means they're going to loosen up their standards or what they're going to do at this point, but I think maybe he might have indicated that. Anyway, it was a really good conversation. I was just really happy that I got a chance to talk with them and kind of put this idea in my head on what am I going to do with all these raw cards that I want to grade. I'm kind of holding out for PSA. And even with HGA, I did send some of them. I sent cards that were that lower, they're just base cards. They used to be worth money at the height of the market, but now it's like they're just not worth grading. I sent some of those HGA at $20 per card, but now HGA is $25 at the minimum, and there's no bulk option for HGA. There's no bulk pricing for SGC either, at least not at the $10 to $12 range. That's what I consider a bulk pricing. $25, $30, that's not bulk pricing. That's not even really a discount in my opinion. That's just the normal price to grade a card. So really good conversation I had with CSG. On a side note, HGA did have a booth set up there as well. And if you watched Neo's channel, and probably most of you do, he did mention that it was a ghost town. And it was a little bit sad to see basically nobody going up to the HGA table to even ask questions. And CSG looked a little bit busier. Again, not that people were submitting cards, but probably that they just had questions about what's coming up in the future. and HGA was definitely a ghost town, and that's unfortunate. But I did go up and talk to them, and I'll kind of cover that briefly in this video as well. Not too much to tell. They realize they're behind, and everybody who grades with HGA is aware of that. And their total effort is to get caught up. Actually, stop taking submissions. I forgot exactly for which grading services, but basically the point of that is to try to get caught up with the backlog. And so they've limited the queue. Whatever service they do have open, they've limited the queue on that, again, in an effort to get caught up with the backlog. One of the reps there told me that the president, Tyler, was pretty just generally upset with what has been happening within his own company. This is not what he anticipated or expected, and it sounds like he's really coming down hard on his staff to try to, get everything in line. So just sounds like they just had some issues that they needed to work out, and now they're realizing that they had to get caught up, and that's first and foremost the main priority. And after that, we'll see what happens, But there's a lot of players in the game. Obviously, CSG is going to make a run at building some market share within this grading space. HGA, hopefully they can make a play too. Honestly, I like the labels, I like the grading, and I will continue to grade with them for certain cards if it makes sense. I really like the options of team match, splash match, the different kind of options, and then we'll see what they do with the custom labels. That could be a niche that they can really go after in the future, because especially with Marvel cards. I mean, when I see some of the labels that they have with the Marvel cards, I think they look pretty interesting. I don't buy Marvel. I'm not into Marvel at all, but if I were, I feel like I would probably lean more toward the HGA side of grading things. So anyway, thanks those of you who have kind of given your feedback as far as who you think is going to win the NBA championship. I appreciate that. So far, we have, I think, a whopping 3 responses. So I don't know. I think I might wait for 10. We'll see if 10 people actually participate, and then we'll go ahead and pick a winner from that. So I'm just glad I was able to get another video out shortly after yesterday's video. So 2 days in a row. I can't believe it. I'm actually on a little bit of a roll here. So this is just one part of the Culture Collision trade show that I wanted to talk about, which was the grading companies that were there, and specifically CSG. I'm pretty excited about the new label. I can't wait to see what it is. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next video.